Hi guys, this is Zach from WatchesOnYou, and today I'm taking a look at the Oris Aquis GMT Date. So this is the GMT version of the very popular Oris dive watches, which have been really seen as some of the best dive watches, but also some of the best watches that you can get at their respective price point, which is around the $2,000 mark. This one's a bit more, being it's a GMT. This one comes in at a price of $2,700 on a bracelet, or in this current configuration, this is going to come in at a price of $2,500 on the rubber strap. So the case on this timepiece is a 43.5mm case. It's all stainless steel, as you can see, and I really like the variety of different polishings that Oris uses. You can see they use a variety of both brushing and polishing. I really like the polishing around the crown guards, and then I also like the kind of tool watch brushing on the sides of the case. I think it looks very nice, and I think Oris has some of the best finishing at their price point. I prefer them definitely to like Tag Heuer's at the Oris price points. I think Oris does a much nicer job of finishing their cases. You can see the lugs here are very thick because it does use an integrated strap or bracelet. I have always said, and I would like Oris to maybe thin out the lugs so you can fit a regular watch strap in there and really just get some more customizability, but they kind of want to keep it proprietary, I guess, so they are just making an integrated kind of strap style. I think it does look nice, however, and I think that on the bracelet especially, it really blends in well with the case. But again, you don't get the extra functionality of having a typical, I guess, lug width where you can put any kind of strap on the watch that you would like. The strap, however, is very high quality. You can tell it's a very nice rubber that they're using. It's very malleable and it conforms to your wrist very nicely. You can see it is also paired with a deployant clasp here. Very nice solid bar clasp, and I really like the little accent of perlage that they put in the middle there. I think that just kind of steps up the finishing of it. And you can see it does have a diver's extension. Now, I really love Oris's diver's extensions. I like how, and mainly because of their simplicity. They're so easy. You just push these two buttons in and you can move it back and forth. Some of the other diver's extensions out there can just be super cumbersome and hard to use, and I really like just having a good old push button where you can bring it back and forth. I think it's actually even easier than using like the Rolex glide lock system on a Submariner. Even that, you just pull down on that. But I mean, just having two buttons, you can even adjust this while it's on your wrist, which is a great feature of having this button system. You do not get an extra diver's extension, but you shouldn't really need a huge diver's extension. Typically, those are really only reserved for when you're using something like a dry suit, which is not used in most diving circumstances, and I think this will allow enough extension for your needs on a regular recreational diving basis. The clasp itself is also just a push button, one button on each side, just push them in, locks down very nicely. Now moving to the dial. So the dial on this, you can see, is the beautiful blue sunray that Oris has on their Aquis series. I really love the shade. It's a nice deep blue, very much like the ocean. And you can see that they accent it with some yellow markings where it says like the GMT writing, and then also the GMT hand has yellow on the tip there. And I also do like how you can notice that not only is this bezel a GMT bezel, but you can see that on the dial they also put a 24-hour GMT scale, and it lines up very nicely with the GMT hand, just enhancing the readability of the GMT function. So you can see, going back to this bezel here, this has a ceramic bezel insert, and you can see that it is a 24-hour bezel, much like the insert that is done on a Rolex GMT Master 2, and that allows you to, instead of just tracking 2 time zones, being one with the main hands and one with the GMT hand, you can actually track up to 3 if you use this bezel. So pairing the GMT hand with the bezel, you can offset the bezel and then use that as another way to track another time zone. Now you may be asking, but can I use this still as a dive watch? After all, it still is an Oris Aquis. It's got 300-meter water resistance. Should be able to use a dive watch. And yes, so it does have a 120-click bezel still. It is bi-directional, so you will have to worry. I don't think it would be a huge problem, but you may have to worry a little bit about knocking it just so that you don't accidentally turn the bezel the other way when you're underwater, which is much more dangerous than if you turn it in the unidirectional direction like most dive watches have it. However, being 120-click, you can still very easily use this as a diving bezel, and you just have to use the indexes instead of the markings on the bezel, as it's a 24-hour bezel. So I like how they kept the 120 click functionality on this. So now let's just move to a quick wrist shot. So on the wrist, the 43mm size is, I think it's great for a sports watch. I always say 40mm is my favorite, but this 43 I think wears very nicely. I have about a 7.5-inch wrist, so it's above average size, but I think it fits very nicely on my wrist at least, and I think it will fit nicely on most wrists. The strap, again, very comfortable, conforms very nicely with the shape of your wrist. And the buckle is also very nice as well. So now just to show you the movement in this does use a Solita-based movement. It's not an in-house Oris movement, and you can see there is some finishing on there. However, there isn't a huge amount. I would like to see some more perlage or maybe Cote de Genève in there at this price point, but it still is going to be a nice workhorse movement, and you shouldn't have any problems with the reliability of the movement. So this watch, coming in at a price of $2,500 on the strap or $2,700 on the bracelet, I think does offer a lot of value, as it is a very capable dive watch, having a 300-meter water resistance, and also gets you a nice GMT function while pairing that with excellent case finishing and quality overall. I'd like to mention that this watch was lent to us for the purpose of this review by Continental Diamond in St. Louis Park, Minnesota. I will be leaving a link in the description to their website where you can go inquire about either purchasing this watch or see the rest of their collection. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.